LSU and Alabama teed it off in Tuscaloosa Saturday night primetime. It was the game of the week. A lot of people anticipating this. This one, Heisman Trophy candidate Jaden Daniels went into the game. Joe, I'm going to start off with here. I know that he got knocked out of the football game, mean Jaden Daniels. Even though LSU lost, how anybody in their right mind can walk out of that game and say that he's not the best player in the country, I have no idea. He had 300 yards in the first half against a top 10 defense, 3 touchdowns. Okay, he was responding. Bam, bam, bam. Everything Alabama threw him. He has no help defensively. LSU gets the ball back in the second half. He drives down the length of the field. They scored. They take the lead on Alabama. He is the best player in college football to me. You can say I'm biased, but I can make a damn strong argument that he is. Here's the problem. Brian Kelly has an issue, and it's not himself. He did make the hire of defensive coordinator Matt House, but a lot like Alex Grinch, what we're going to talk about later on, in the Bayou, that does not fly here. Teams will allow, or fans will allow worse offense if your defense is stout because it's their nature. People in Louisiana are not going to accept bad defenses. LSU will pull the plug on Matt House. I called for his job on my own personal show. I think it's time for them to pull the plug on him. But Jalen Milroe looked like a Heisman contender last night. 11 of 14 on third down was LSU. 9 of those 11 conversions were 3rd and 7 plus. LSU was winning on 1st and 2nd down defensively. They didn't make adjustments. They didn't do anything different. And ultimately, Jalen Milroe was able to make enough plays for them to win the game. I will continue to say this until I'm blue in the face. They are getting better every week, and took a lot of criticism from LSU fans about this. They're the best. I think that you can make the argument they're the best team in the SEC, even with Georgia out there. Now, I do think them and Georgia will square off in the SEC championship game, and it's going to be a slugfest going into that one. But the last point I'm going to make, Dallas Turner, you are a dirty player. Joey's a dirty player. And I got Alabama fans saying he's not. Well, I got the Quinn Ewers hit. I have multiple things on Jackson Dart, pushing his head into the dirt like a loser. Okay, I don't care. Okay, oh, well, he's just a college kid. Well, when college kids are doing that, somebody's got to call it out. You cannot allow that to continue to happen. The best player in the country was knocked out, and it wasn't even reviewed on a targeting. That is blatant targeting. Going underneath the chin is blatant targeting. So
my focus, okay, I understand where you're coming from on some of these takes. My focus is on the outcome here for Alabama. To be very blunt, LSU is out of the national conversation. I'm just going to be straightforward. They're still a quality team. I'm sure they're going to finish the year with a strong run here. They're probably going to finish with 3 losses, but they're not going to the SEC championship game. They're also probably not going to a New Year's Six bowl game. It's probably not going to happen.
They would need 2 SEC teams to get in the playoff,
right? Which is possible. It's certainly possible to happen. But my takeaways here for Alabama, this is not going to be well liked by Alabama fans. My thoughts on them don't really change that much. I think that this is a really good win. It's a nice resume building win, and it's a nice notch in the belt, nice thing that you add to the season. But their performance, their offensive performance, I think a lot of people are applauding the way that they played without really acknowledging the fact that LSU was without multiple defensive backs and Mekhi Wingo. And what happened in this game? They completed a lot of easy passes, and they also ran all over this LSU defense. LSU was clearly trying to make up for their deficiencies in their secondary because there were a lot of light boxes that we saw in this game. A lot of light boxes.
Agreed.
You could blame that on Matt House's decision-making, but all in all, the way that they played is not a reason to believe that their offense is completely fixed. I do not know if that team can rally and play as well as they did against LSU when they have to play against Georgia in the SEC championship game. I think that we need to see those two teams play each other to have a true determination of how good Alabama is. I personally do not think that Alabama is built to go head-to-head with Georgia and come out victorious. I just don't. But they've looked a lot better. They've improved week to week. I will give Alabama credit. I will give Tommy Rees credit, and I will give Jalen Milroe credit. They have improved, but I'm just very wary of how they will match up against Georgia. I don't think they're capable of winning that game.
I don't know. If you asked me today if they could beat them, I would tell you no. But they are a very good second half football team. Okay. They make adjustments very well. They rally to the football. They're a good defensive team. And one thing is for sure, okay, they made stops on the best offense in the country when it mattered to them. When it mattered. They had a couple of field goals that were missed. That would have separated the score more. But I'm with you. But I do think what you're trying to say, even though you talk about Bama, it would be more of an indication on LSU and Matt House's decision-making. Joe, they were playing too light of boxes. I know that you have DBs that are out, but after the first quarter, second quarter, and you're able to lock up Jermaine Burton in man-to-man coverage, 3 catches for 37 yards in that game, you got to look at him and say, okay, well, look, man, we're having success with our young dudes on the outside, playing bump and run coverage. They did not light it up through the air. They threw for 219. You got to stack the box, and you got to send the house at Jalen Milroe. Joe, they sacked him twice. It's exactly what they did. The only stops that they had literally came on them sending the house, pun intended, at Jalen Milroe.
Well, that was what I said to you going into the week, is that if you want to win this football game, you have to load the box. You just have to. If you get beat deep every so often, you have to be prepared. Right. That's exactly what Texas did. That was how Texas won that football game. They loaded the box. They said, you're not running the football. Tough shit. You're not going to get anywhere. If you're going to score, you better hope that you connect. And you know what? Jalen Milroe does throw that deep ball well, but it's inconsistent.
He didn't last night
because they were paying more attention to it. But he's inconsistent.
But he just missed wide open dudes, though, Joe. It wasn't like he was contesting anything.
Right. My point is that there's maybe 5 quarterbacks in the country that can consistently connect on those deep throws over the top. Jalen Milroe is not one of them. And I don't know why that was not the intent. It was literally on film in the Texas game to not have that approach. I don't know. I didn't really get that. I knew that that's more of like an LSU in the weeds kind of a discussion for your show. But again,
it's not, though, because do you think that Georgia's not going to do that in a couple of weeks?
Oh, I think Georgia's going to do exactly what Texas is
going to do. And they have this secondary to play man-to-man on the outside. I mean,
that's the difference, though, is that when Georgia plays Alabama, they don't need to pick a side. They don't need to pick a direction that they want to play the game. Their defensive line and secondary, that defense is the most well-rounded in the country. It is the best defense in college football right now, except maybe second to Ohio State's. They don't really need to pick a side, but exactly what you're saying, they're just going to play heavy up front. They're going to load that box, and they're going to say, all right, we got Kamari Lassiter and Malachi Starks and all these guys. We're going to one-on-one man up these guys. Burton's fine. You'll get 1 or 2 good long passes to him, but you're not going to connect every single time. I think that game plays out just so favorably for Georgia.
I'll talk about that with Georgia in just a minute. I think Georgia did show that they have a chink in the armor, and I will talk about that. Yes, a very massive chink in the armor that I think Alabama
defensively.
Defensively.
Okay, I won't get ahead of ourselves.
Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So, last point for me on LSU and Alabama. Look, Joe, I'm just going to be real. I know LSU fans are going to get mad at me for saying this, but I'm just going to say it like it is. This is why we should not question Nick Saban.
Okay, fine. I'll concede that. Yeah, I will concede that.
I mean, at some point we gotta get to a place where he's 2 touchdowns that got called back against Texas away from being undefeated.
Yeah.
I mean, they have dudes all over the place. Now,
look,
I don't think that there's another team in the country, okay? This is the thing that I would say, and I think Brock Bowers may be back by the time that they would play him. But, Joe, outside of Washington, there's not a team in the country that can challenge Alabama dude for dude like LSU did last night offensively. LSU's got dudes all over the place. And I don't think Alabama gets tested like that again. Like, I really don't.
See, wait, this is where you and I have consistently disagreed, and it's week to week we have done this, and I'm sure that we're going to do this tomorrow when we do our top 10. I really do think that Washington's offense, knowing what we just saw.
But I said outside of Washington.
I know. I know that you just conceded that. But like my point is here is that I believe that Washington and maybe Florida State as well, because they both have really good receiving cores, a really good veteran experienced quarterback, both of those teams. We just saw Jaden Daniels and LSU have a ton of success throwing the football. Both of those quarterbacks are also good with their legs and can pick up long gains like Jaden Daniels did. I think that Florida State and Washington could both beat Alabama. I think that
Jordan Travis can't run like Jaden Daniels.
He can't, but what I'm getting at here is that as good as they are, there is still limitations to what you can do defensively. You know, they can't just completely shut down an elite defensive or an elite receiving core like those two teams.
The problem I have with Florida State, Joe, ever since that LSU game, they have been suspect running the football. And here's the thing. Bama does have the dudes that can get Jordan Travis on the ground.
That's fair. It's a fair point.
Look, I'm going to surprise some people with my top 10. I told you in pre-show where I'm going to have them. I'm going to have them above. I think they're better than Texas. Now, our rankings is more like a power ranking.
Yeah, it's not a resume ranking.
It's not a resume ranking, right. So, we'll see.